At Exec Admiral Koroth found his voice. President Chang, what you describe sounds impossible. How can humanity have developed such advanced technologies in secret? Lisa Chang smiled. Admiral, humanity has one advantage that other species often underestimate. When we face extinction, we do not compete with each other. We unite. Every human on Earth, in our colonies, and throughout the galaxy work together as a single organism for 12 hours. The result is technologies that no single nation or corporation could have developed alone. On the exploration ship Horizon's Edge, Admiral Ross Walker listened to President Chang's speech with growing pride and amazement. His species had done the impossible. Again. Admiral, reported Communications Officer Mary Kim, we're receiving technical specifications for the new quantum communication systems. They want us to help coordinate defense preparations with other human colonies. Ross smiled. Send a message to all human ships and colonies. Tell them we're not just back online, we're better than ever. Captain Steve Johnson's mining ship finally reached Earth orbit 12 hours and 15 minutes after the blackout had ended. What he saw there changed his understanding of what humanity could accomplish. Earth was surrounded by a network of defensive platforms, communication arrays, and construction facilities that had not existed that morning. But more impressive than the technology was the coordination. Thousands of ships moved in perfect formation. Millions of people worked together with a unity that defied human nature. Rocky Mountain, this is Defense Platform Alpha, came a voice over the communication system. Welcome home, Captain Johnson. Humanity thanks you for your concern during the integration period. Please dock at Bay 7 for debriefing. As his ship approached the massive defense platform, Steve realized that the 12 hours of silence had not been humanity's end. It had been their transformation into something the galaxy had never seen before. The crisis was over. But the real challenge was just beginning. 50 years from now, the Devourers would arrive. But they would find a galaxy that was ready for them, unified under technologies and strategies developed during 12 hours when Earth went quiet. Humanity had done what they did best. They had turned their greatest weakness into their greatest strength. Their inability to agree on anything had become their ability to agree on everything when survival was at stake. The galaxy would never be the same. To lie, 12 hours after Earth went silent, the galaxy exploded with signals unlike anything ever recorded. Zethkar's instruments went crazy as Earth suddenly broadcast on every frequency simultaneously. But these were not the normal human transmissions. He was used to monitoring. These signals were thousands of times more powerful and used technologies that should not have existed. "Supervisor Yothquin!" he called frantically. "Earth is back online, but something is very different." The ethereal being materialized beside his workstation just as the first coherent message came through. It was broadcast in every known galactic language simultaneously. "This is Earth Planetary Defense Coordinator Ben Phillips speaking to all galactic civilizations. Humanity underwent an emergency planetary integration protocol 12 hours ago. We detected an imminent threat from beyond our galaxy and needed absolute communication silence to implement new defensive measures. The immediate crisis has passed." The message was repeated on dozens of different frequencies, but that was just the beginning. Earth was now broadcasting more information in 1 minute than they had in the previous month. Technical specifications, sensor data, military updates, and civilian communications all flooded the galaxy's communication networks. But the technology behind the transmissions was revolutionary. quantum fold communication networks that could send messages instantly across any distance. Electromagnetic amplifiers that made their signals clearer than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Encryption methods that were unbreakable, yet somehow accessible to all friendly civilizations at the same time. Captain Steve Johnson's mining ship, Rocky Mountain, was the first vessel to receive direct contact from Earth. His old ship was still 2 days away from the planet when a new type of signal reached him. Rocky Mountain, this is Earth Defense Control. We have been monitoring your approach. Please identify your crew and state your intentions. Steve was amazed. Earth had been tracking his small mining ship from 2 days away with perfect accuracy. Earth Defense Control, this is Captain Steve Johnson aboard the mining vessel Rocky Mountain. We are 12 human civilians returning to investigate the communication blackout. We have no hostile intentions. Captain Johnson, we appreciate your concern for Earth during the blackout period. Please adjust your course to approach Vector 77 Alpha. You will be escorted by defense platforms upon arrival. Defense platforms? Steve asked. What defense platforms? Captain, much has changed in the past 12 hours. Everything will be explained when you arrive. Welcome home. As the Rocky Mountain adjusted course, Steve's sensors detected something impossible. Dozens of large structures were now orbiting Earth in perfect geometric formations. They had not been there 12 hours ago. Captain, called Chief Miner Pete Adams. Those aren't just defense platforms. Some of those structures are bigger than space stations. How did they build them so fast? Steve had no answer, but he was beginning to understand that humanity had undergone changes that defied everything he thought he knew about his own species. On Luna Station, Chief Engineer Amy Roberts was watching the transformation of Earth in real time. The planet she had been studying for 12 hours now looked completely different on her sensors. Ben, are you seeing this? She called to Dr. Morris. Ben was staring at his instruments in amazement. Amy, Earth's energy output has increased by 300%, but it's all controlled, all organized. This isn't random construction. This is the most coordinated engineering project in galactic history. Look at the communication networks, Amy said, pointing at her screen. They're not using the old satellite systems anymore. They've built something entirely new. Quantum entanglement networks that can communicate instantly with anywhere in the galaxy. A new message appeared on their communication system. It was ice from Earth's surface, specifically from Amy's hometown. Luna Station, this is Earth Planetary Coordination Center. Chief Roberts, Dr. Morris, you are requested to return to Earth for debriefing and integration into the new defense network. Transport will arrive in 6 hours. Amy felt her heart racing. Integration into the defense network? What does that mean? Her question was answered when the full scope of Earth's transformation began broadcasting throughout the galaxy. It was not just a defense grid that humanity had built. It was a complete reorganization of their entire civilization. At the Galactic Council, Dr. Jake Peterson was released from interrogation and brought to the main assembly hall. Every representative was present, and all were listening to the flood of information coming from Earth. Admiral Karoth stood at the main podium, his reptilian features showing amazement. Fellow council members, we are receiving detailed reports from Earth about their activities during the communication blackout. The information is unprecedented. President Lisa Chang's image appeared on the main display screen. She was broadcasting from what appeared to be a massive command center that had not existed 12 hours before. Honored members of the Galactic Council, she began. I am President Lisa Chang of the United Earth Defense Alliance. 12 hours ago, our monitoring systems detected the approach of a massive extragalactic fleet. Ships unlike anything in our databases, using technologies we had never seen, heading directly toward our galaxy. The council chamber erupted in worried voices. An extragalactic invasion fleet was every civilization's worst nightmare. President Chang continued. Rather than cause panic throughout the galaxy, humanity activated Emergency Protocol 7. This was a contingency plan we had been developing in secret for the past 15 years. It required absolute communication silence while we rapidly deployed new defensive technologies and achieved unprecedented global unity. The display showed images of Earth during the blackout period. Every nation, every corporation, every military force, and every civilian group had worked together in perfect coordination. Factories that had been producing consumer goods were instantly converted to military production. Scientists from competing universities shared their research freely. Military forces that had been rivals became unified under single command. In 12 hours, President Chang said, humanity accomplished what we previously thought would take years. We constructed a planetary defense network, established quantum communication systems, and achieved the highest level of global cooperation in our species' history. Dr. Jake Peterson felt tears in his eyes. This was humanity at its best, facing impossible odds and doing the impossible in response. But President Chang was not finished. However, our defensive preparations were only the first phase. We sent signals beyond the galactic rim to make contact with the approaching fleet. We wanted to determine their intentions before they arrived. The display showed the extragalactic fleet, hundreds of massive ships, each one larger than Earth's biggest cities, moving through dark space toward the galaxy. The fleet responded to our communications. They call themselves the Harbingers. They are not invaders. They are refugees fleeing from something even more dangerous than themselves. They have been traveling for thousands of years, looking for a galaxy that could help them. This revelation shocked every member of the council. The terrifying invasion. Fleet was actually seeking help. The Harbingers bring warnings about entities they call the Devourers. According to their data, these Devourers consume entire galaxies, leaving nothing but empty space behind. They are approximately 50 years away from reaching our galaxy. The council chamber fell completely silent. A threat that could consume entire galaxies was beyond anything they had imagined. President Chang's expression became more serious. Humanity has made a decision. We will share our new defensive technologies with all galactic civilizations. We will help prepare our galaxy for the arrival of the Devourers. But this will require unprecedented cooperation between all species. At exactly 11 hours and 37 minutes after Earth went silent, the Nebulan research vessel Deep Thought detected something that changed everything. Science leader Quintar was a being of pure energy, but even he could feel what humans called excitement. His ship had the most advanced sensors in the galaxy, designed to detect energy patterns across all known spectrums. Impossible, he whispered to his research team. Earth is not silent. It is screaming. His assistant, a younger Nebulan named Velquin, flickered with confusion. I do not understand, Science Leader. Our instruments show no transmissions from the human homeworld. Quintar adjusted his sensors to frequencies that most species could not even detect. Look deeper, Velquin. Below the normal electromagnetic spectrum, Earth is generating massive energy pulses, but they are contained within the planet's magnetosphere. The data appeared on their screens. Earth was producing more organized energy than it ever had in its history. But instead of broadcasting this, Energy into space? Something was keeping it trapped around the planet. It is like they have built a cage around their entire world, Velquin observed. But why would they imprison themselves? Perhaps they are not imprisoning themselves, Quintar said thoughtfully. Perhaps they are hiding from something. On Luna Station, Chief Engineer Amy Roberts was making similar discoveries. Her powerful sensors were detecting organized movement patterns in Earth's satellite network that made no sense according to normal human procedures. "Ben, look at this," she called to Dr. Morris. "Every communications satellite around Earth has been repositioned. They're not in their normal orbits anymore." Ben studied the data. They're arranged in some kind of geometric pattern, like a net or a grid surrounding the planet. Amy enhanced the image on her screen. It's not just the communication satellites, the military ones, the weather monitoring systems, the space debris trackers. Everything has been moved into this formation. How is that possible? It would take months to coordinate that many orbital adjustments, unless someone had been planning this for a long time, Amy said quietly. Ben, what if this silence isn't a response to a crisis? What if it is the crisis response? Dr. Morris stared at her. You think they planned to go silent? I think they planned for something that required going silent. Meanwhile, Captain Steve Johnson was pushing his asteroid mining ship Rocky Mountain toward Earth as fast as the old engines could manage. His crew of 12 miners and engineers were not soldiers, but they were determined to find out what had happened to their homeworld. "Captain," called Chief Miner Pete Adams from the sensor station, "I'm detecting massive energy signatures from Earth, way bigger than anything I've ever seen from human technology." Steve floated over to look at the readings. "That can't be right. Those energy levels would require the power output of a small star." "That's what I thought too. But the readings are consistent across all sensor types. Earth is generating incredible amounts of power, but it's all being contained somehow." Navigation Officer Carol White spoke up from her station. "Captain, I'm also detecting something strange about Earth's magnetic field. It's been artificially strengthened, like someone built magnetic field generators all over the planet." Steve felt a mixture of worry and pride. Worry because something huge was happening that nobody understood. Pride because it looked like humanity had achieved technological breakthroughs that should have been impossible. "Keep monitoring everything," he ordered, "and prepare for anything when we get there." Back at the Galactic Council, Dr. Jake Peterson was in an interrogation room with representatives from 5 different species. They were not being cruel to him, but they wanted answers he did not have. "Dr. Peterson," said Admiral Koroth of the Vorthak, "we have detected massive energy output from your homeworld. Our scientists believe this indicates preparation for war. Who is humanity preparing to fight?" Jake spread his hands helplessly. "Admiral, I know as little as you do. I have been at this station for 3 years. I have no special knowledge of Earth's military plans." Queen Zixta of the Chithari clicked her mandibles impatiently. "Human governments always have contingency plans. What are your species' protocols for planetary emergencies?" "We have disaster response procedures," Jake admitted. "Protocols for natural disasters, disease outbreaks, economic collapse. But nothing that would require complete communication silence." The ethereal collective representative Yothquin spoke with his mind voice. "Unless the emergency was so severe that any communication would make it worse." This thought silenced the room. What kind of threat would be made worse by talking about it? General Thakmor of the Vorthak military leaned forward. "Dr. Peterson, in your opinion, is humanity capable of building planet-wide defense systems in secret?" Jake thought carefully. Humans are very good at keeping secrets when survival is at stake. During our world wars, we built entire cities in secret to develop new weapons. We created technologies that our enemies never suspected until it was too late. And you believe humanity might have been preparing for war. I believe humanity might have been preparing for something, but I don't know what. On the exploration ship Horizon's Edge, Admiral Ross Walker was pushing his engines beyond their design limits. His chief engineer had warned him 3 times about the risk of core failure, but Ross was determined to reach Earth as quickly as possible. "Admiral," reported Communications Officer Mary Kim, "I'm intercepting alien fleet movements throughout human space. The Krillians have battle groups near 6 of our colonies. The Vorthak have investigation fleets approaching our trade routes. Even the peaceful species are mobilizing." Ross clenched his fists. "They think we're weakened. They're moving in like scavengers." "Sir, our colonies are reporting that they can coordinate defense without Earth's help. Whatever communication system Earth was using, the colonies have backup methods." This was news to Ross. "What kind of backup methods?" "I don't know, sir. But Governor Thompson on New Texas managed to coordinate with 12 warships that the Krillians couldn't even detect until they decloaked." Ross felt a spark of hope. Maybe humanity was not as helpless as everyone thought. At Nexus Prime, Zethkar was detecting more brief transmissions from Earth. They were happening every 30 minutes. Now, always lasting exactly 3 seconds, always directed toward empty space beyond the galactic rim. "Supervisor Yothquin," he reported, "the signals are getting stronger and more frequent. It is as if Earth is trying to communicate with something very far away." The ethereal being studied the data. "Can you determine what kind of information they are sending?" "The signals are heavily encoded, but I can tell they are not random. There is definitely organized information being transmitted. Keep monitoring and try to decode those signals. If we can understand what Earth is sending into empty space, we might understand why they went silent." On Luna Station, Amy Roberts made a breakthrough. She had been analyzing the energy patterns around Earth for hours when she realized what she was looking at. "Ben!" she called excitedly. "I know what they're building." Dr. Morris hurried over to her workstation. "What is it?" Amy pointed at the complex energy patterns on her screen. "It's a planetary defense grid. Not just weapons, but shields, sensors, communication jammers, everything. They've turned the entire planet into a fortress." "That's impossible. The energy requirements alone would be enormous. Look at these power readings. Every nuclear power plant on Earth is running at maximum output. Every solar collection array, every geothermal station, everything is feeding power into this grid." Ben stared at the data in amazement. How long would something like this take to build? If they had been planning it for years and working in secret, maybe they could do it in a few months. But coordinating the construction, testing all the systems, making sure everything worked together. "Amy, this represents the greatest engineering project in human history." Amy nodded grimly. "And they did it in absolute secrecy. No other species in the galaxy detected it until now. The question is, what were they preparing to defend against?" As if in answer to her question, Zethkar's voice crackled over the long-range communication system. He was broadcasting to all monitoring stations throughout the galaxy. "Emergency alert to all observers. Earth's transmissions have changed. They are no longer sending signals beyond the galactic rim. They are now receiving responses. The news sent shockwaves through every species monitoring the situation. Earth had been communicating with something in the dark space beyond known civilization, and now that something was communicating back, the 12 hours of silence were almost over. But instead of ending the crisis, they had revealed that something much larger was about to begin. Humanity had not gone silent because they were destroyed or defeated. They had gone silent because they were getting ready for war. And now, whatever they had been preparing to fight was finally answering their calls. 9 hours had passed since Earth went silent. Across the galaxy, panic was spreading faster than light itself. On the trade world of Xerion Prime, markets crashed as news of Earth's silence reached the financial centers. Humans had become major players in galactic trade over the past century. Their goods, services, and technologies were woven into the economies of dozens of worlds. Merchant Captain Veltar of the Vorthak Trading Guild stared at his cargo manifest in horror. Half his ship was loaded with goods bound for Earth. The other half contained Earth products he was supposed to deliver to other worlds. Now he had no customers and no suppliers. "Sir," called his first officer, "we're receiving cancellation notices from 17 different trading partners. Everyone is afraid to do business with anything connected to humans," Veltar hissed through his forked tongue. The humans were the most reliable trading partners in the galaxy. They always paid on time, always delivered what they promised. Something very bad must have happened to make them go completely silent. Similar scenes played out on trading stations throughout known space. The galactic economy was suffering as fear of the unknown spread through every marketplace. Admiral Ross Walker pushed his ship Horizon's Edge harder than it had ever been pushed before. The engines were running at 110% capacity. He knew he was risking damage to his vessel, but he had to reach Earth as quickly as possible. "Admiral," reported Chief Engineer Paul Wright, "the engine core is overheating. We need to reduce speed or risk a containment failure." Ross studied the navigation display. Still 2.5 months from Earth at their current speed. "How long can you keep the engines at this level? Maybe 6 more hours? After that, we'll need to shut down for repairs." "Give me those 6 hours," Ross ordered. "Every minute might matter." His crew worked around the clock, trying to squeeze every bit of speed from their ship. They all had family and friends on Earth. The silence was driving them crazy with worry. On Luna Station, Chief Engineer Amy Roberts made a discovery that changed everything. She had been studying Earth's satellite networks for 10 hours when she noticed something. "Strange. Ben," she called to Dr. Morris, "look at these power consumption readings from Earth's satellites." Ben studied the data on his screen. "They're drawing more power than usual. A lot more. It's like they're working harder than normal, but they're not transmitting anything we can detect." Amy felt her heart racing. What if they are transmitting, but not to us? What if they're sending signals somewhere else? Where else would they send them? Amy looked out the window at Earth. The planet seemed peaceful and normal, but she was beginning to suspect that was an illusion. "I don't know, but I'm going to find out." She began redirecting Luna Station's most powerful sensors toward Earth. If the planet was hiding something, she was going to discover what it was. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council was dealing with a crisis that was getting worse by the hour. Military fleets from a dozen different species were moving through space, all heading toward human territories. Some claimed to be responding to humanitarian concerns. Others were clearly positioning themselves to take advantage of humanity's apparent weakness. The Krillian Empire had moved fastest. Their battle fleets were already within striking distance of 3 major human colonies. Admiral Klextar of the Krillian Second Fleet opened communications with the colony world New Texas. "Human colony New Texas. His voice boomed across the communication channels. "This is Admiral Klextar of the Krillian Imperial Navy. We have received reports that your homeworld Earth has suffered a catastrophic event. We are here to provide protection and assistance." Governor Mike Thompson of New Texas was not fooled by the Krillians' words. He knew their reputation for conquest and expansion. "Admiral Klextar, we appreciate your concern, but New Texas is fully capable of defending itself. We do not require Krillian assistance." "I am afraid I must insist," Klextar replied. "For your own safety, we will be establishing a protective perimeter around your world. Do not attempt to interfere with our ships." Thompson felt anger rising in his chest. The Krillians were using Earth's silence as an excuse to invade human colonies. "Admiral, any attempt to establish unauthorized positions around New Texas will be considered an act of war." "War?" Klextar laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the communication channel. "What war can you fight without Earth to support you? Your homeworld is silent, possibly destroyed. You are alone now." But Governor, Thompson was not as alone as the Krillian thought. New Texas was one of humanity's most heavily defended colonies. It had been built specifically to protect human interests in this region of space. "Admiral Klextar," Thompson said calmly, "I suggest you reconsider your position. New Texas is not defenseless, and we are not alone." As if summoned by his words, 12 human warships decloaked around the Krillian fleet. They had been hiding using advanced stealth technology that even the Krillians had not detected. The lead ship, USS Montana, opened communications. "Krillian vessels, this is Captain Allen. Foster of the Montana, you are in violation of human space. Withdraw immediately, or face the consequences." Admiral Klextar was shocked. The humans had been quiet for 10 hours, but their military was still active and alert. "How are you coordinating without communications from Earth?" "That's not your concern, Admiral. Your concern should be the targeting systems that are currently locked onto your ships. You have 1 minute to begin withdrawal." Reluctantly, the Krillian fleet began pulling back, but they did not leave the system entirely. They positioned themselves just outside human space, waiting for an opportunity. Similar confrontations were happening throughout human territory. The Vorthak Empire had sent investigation fleets to human space. The Chithari were deploying bioships near major human trade routes. Even usually peaceful species were taking precautionary actions. On Nexus Prime, Zethkar detected something new. After 10 hours of complete silence, there was a brief flicker on his instruments. For just 3 seconds, Earth transmitted something. "Supervisor Yathquin," he called excitedly. "I detected a transmission from Earth." The ethereal being materialized beside Zethkar's workstation. "What kind of transmission?" "I don't know. It was very brief, very powerful, and on a frequency I have never seen before. But it was definitely from Earth." Yathquin's energy form flickered rapidly, showing excitement. "Can you trace where it was sent?" Zethkar worked at his controls for several minutes. "The signal was directional, but I cannot determine the target. It was sent toward empty space beyond the galactic rim." "Beyond the rim? There is nothing out there." "That we know of," Zethkar said quietly. The discovery was immediately reported to the Galactic Council. For the first time in 10 hours, Earth had sent a signal. But instead of communicating with the galaxy, they had sent it into the dark emptiness, beyond known space. Dr. Jake Peterson felt a chill when he heard this news. Why would Earth send a signal into empty space? What were they trying to reach? Or what were they trying to warn? On Earth's orbital defense platform Terra Guardian, Commander Kyle Martinez was getting more worried by the hour. He had not heard from his wife Lisa since her last frightening message. He had not heard from anyone on Earth, but his sensors were detecting unusual activity on the planet's surface. Energy readings were spiking in major cities. Electromagnetic patterns were shifting in ways he had never seen before. It looked like massive construction projects were happening simultaneously all over the world. "Lieutenant Cooper," he called to his communications officer. "Try sending a laser communication directly to Earth's surface. Maybe we can get through their interference." Dan Cooper aimed the station's most powerful laser communicator at the city where Kyle's wife lived. The beam carried a simple message. "Lisa, this is Kyle. Please respond if you can receive this." For several minutes, there was no response. Then, suddenly, a laser beam from the surface hit their station. The message was brief. "Kyle, I'm safe. Trust us. Everything will be explained soon. Love, Lisa." It was the first direct communication from Earth in over 10 hours, but it raised more questions than it answered. Trust who? What needed to be explained? And why the secrecy? As the 11th hour of silence began, the galaxy was mobilizing for war, for rescue, or for the unknown. Fleets moved through hyperspace toward human territories. Emergency supplies were loaded onto cargo ships, weapons were charged, and shields were raised. But on Earth, something else was happening. Something that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The humans had not disappeared. They had not been destroyed. They had not been conquered. They were preparing. But preparing for what? And why did they need absolute silence to do it? The answer was coming soon, and it would shock every species in the galaxy. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so full of worry. Representatives from every major species sat in their designated areas, talking in hushed voices. 4 hours had passed since Earth went silent, and the fear was growing stronger. High. Admiral Koroth stood at the main podium again. His yellow reptilian eyes scanned the crowd. "Fellow council members, we must consider all possibilities for what has happened to Earth. I will hear theories from each delegation." The Vorthak military advisor, General Thakmor, spoke first. "The humans have always been reckless with their weapons. They split atoms for power. They built machines that think. They played with forces they did not understand. Perhaps they finally destroyed themselves." Many aliens nodded in agreement. Humans were known throughout the galaxy for taking dangerous risks. They were the only species that had ever detonated nuclear weapons on their own planet during warfare. They created artificial intelligence despite warnings from older civilizations. Queen Zixta of the Chithari raised one of her 4 arms. My swarm agrees with the Vorthak assessment. However, we believe the cause was their artificial intelligence programs. For years, we have detected increasingly sophisticated AI signatures from Earth. Perhaps their machines achieved consciousness and decided humanity was a threat. The idea sent shivers through many representatives. Most advanced species had strict rules about artificial intelligence. They had learned through bitter experience that thinking machines often turned against their creators. The Nebulan Collective spoke through their energy form representative. "We propose a different theory. Humans may have encountered something from deep space, something that forced them into hiding. We have detected unusual gravitational waves from beyond the galactic rim. Perhaps an unknown enemy has found Earth." This possibility scared the Council even more than the first two theories. If something powerful enough to silence all of humanity existed, it might threaten other worlds too. Dr. Jake Peterson listened to all the theories with growing dread. He knew humans better than any alien in the room. Yes, they took risks. Yes, they pushed boundaries. But they were also survivors. They had lived through ice ages, plagues, wars, and natural disasters. They did not give up easily. "Dr. Peterson," Admiral Koroth called, "you have remained silent. What does the human representative think happened to his people?" Jake stood up slowly. All eyes in the chamber focused on him. "Honored council members, I have worked with human governments for 15 years before coming here. I know our history and our nature. We are not a species that simply disappears without fighting. If we went silent, there was a very good reason." "What kind of reason?" asked the ethereal collective representative, a being of pure thought that appeared as shimmering light. "I don't know," Jake admitted. "But I know this. If humanity could send a message, they would. If they are not sending messages, something is preventing them, either by force or by choice," General Thackmore hissed. "Choice? What choice would make an entire species go silent?" Jake thought carefully before answering. "Maybe they are hiding from something. Maybe they are preparing for something. Maybe they are protecting something. Humans do not abandon hope easily." On the other side of the galaxy, Admiral Ross Walker stood on the bridge of his exploration ship, Horizon's Edge. The vessel was 3 months away from Earth at maximum speed. His crew of 50 humans had been exploring a distant star system when they received the emergency transmission from the Galactic Council. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Mary Kim from the communications station, "I'm still getting nothing from Earth, but I'm picking up increased chatter from alien fleets. Looks like half the galaxy is moving toward human space." Ross felt his jaw tighten. "Any hostile movements?" "The Krillians have positioned battle groups near New Texas and Harmony colonies. They claim it's for protection, but their weapon systems are active." Ross knew the Krillians well. They were aggressive and opportunistic. If they thought humanity was weakened or destroyed, they would move quickly to claim human territories. "Change. Course for Earth," Ross ordered. "Maximum speed." "Sir, that will take us 3 months," said his first officer, Commander Lisa Park. "By then, whatever happened will be over." "Maybe," Ross said grimly. "But if humans are in trouble, we need to be there." Back on Luna Station, Chief Engineer Amy Roberts was making disturbing discoveries. She had been analyzing Earth's electromagnetic patterns for 6 hours now. What she found made no sense. "Dr. Morris," she called to the communication specialist, "look at this data. Earth's communication satellites are all still active. They're receiving power, they're responding to diagnostic signals, but they're not transmitting anything outward." Ben Morris studied the readings on his screen. "It's like someone flipped a switch. All at the same time. Every satellite, every radio tower, every transmitter on the planet just stopped sending signals to space." Amy shook her head. "That's impossible. There are millions of transmitters on Earth. Military ones, civilian ones, emergency beacons, automatic weather stations. They're not all connected to the same switch." "Unless someone found a way to connect them," Ben said quietly. The thought was frightening. What kind of technology could simultaneously control every transmitter on Earth? And who had that kind of power? Meanwhile, throughout the galaxy, different species were taking different actions. The peaceful, ethereal collective was loading hospital ships with medical supplies and doctors. They genuinely wanted to help if humans were suffering. The warlike. Krillian Empire continued moving battle fleets closer to human colonies. They were not interested in helping. They saw opportunity in humanity's silence. The ancient Vorthak Empire was taking a more cautious approach. They remembered that humans were clever and dangerous. They positioned their ships defensively, preparing for the possibility that this was some kind of human trick. The insectoid Chithari were doing what they did best, gathering information. Their bioships spread throughout known space, using their advanced sensors to look for any clue about what had happened to Earth. On Nexus Prime, Zeth Kar was getting frustrated. 7 hours had passed, and his instrument still showed nothing from Earth. He had checked and rechecked every system. He had called in technical experts from 3 different species. Everything was working perfectly. Earth was just not transmitting anything. Zeth Kar, called his supervisor, a tall ethereal named Yothquin. The Council wants a detailed report every hour. What can you tell them? Zeth Kar's 6 arms gestured helplessly at his screens. There is nothing to report. Earth is there. The planet is intact. Cities are lit. Weather systems are active. Ships are moving in their oceans. But they are sending no signals of any kind. What about their satellites? Active but silent. Their space stations show signs of life, but they are not transmitting. It is as if someone told the entire human species to be quiet, and they all obeyed at exactly the same time. Yothquin's energy form flickered with worry. That level of coordination would require unprecedented unity among humans. They are not known for unity. Zeth Kar nodded. Humans were famous throughout the galaxy for arguing among themselves. They had dozens of governments, hundreds of languages, and thousands of different beliefs. Getting all humans to agree on anything was supposed to be impossible. Yet somehow, they had all gone silent together. As the 8th hour began, new reports started coming in from across the galaxy. Human colonies on distant worlds were also trying to contact Earth and failing. Ships in deep space could not reach their homeworld. Even the quantum communication networks that were supposed to work instantly across any distance were not connecting to Earth. The silence was complete, absolute, and seemingly impossible. In the council chambers, debates continued. Some aliens wanted to send investigation fleets to Earth immediately. Others argued for caution. A few suggested that this was humanity's problem and the galaxy should not get involved. But everyone knew that if something could make humanity disappear overnight, it might be a threat to all intelligent life in the galaxy. The question remained, what had happened to Earth? And more importantly, was it over, or was it just beginning? Zeth Kar stared at his screen in disbelief. The alien officer had been watching Earth's signals for over 10 years. He knew every pattern, every frequency, every type of message the humans sent out into space. But now, for the first time since he started this job, his screen showed nothing but flat lines. The monitoring station Nexus Prime floated in the dark between stars. It was huge, bigger than most cities. Thousands of aliens from dozens of different worlds worked here. Their job was simple: watch and listen to what happened in the galaxy. But right now, something impossible was happening. Earth had gone completely silent. Zeth Kar's 6 arms moved quickly across his control panel. He checked every system twice, then 3 times. Maybe his equipment was broken. Maybe there was interference from a solar storm. But everything worked perfectly. The problem was not with his machines. The problem was with Earth. He pressed the emergency button. Red lights flashed throughout the monitoring center. Other aliens looked up from their workstations. The insect-like Chithari clicked their mandibles nervously. The tall, thin Vorthak hissed through their forked tongues. Even the energy beings called Nebulans seemed to glow brighter with worry. Emergency Protocol 7, Zethkar announced over the station's communication system. Earth has stopped all transmissions. This is not a drill. Commander Kyle Martinez floated inside the Terra Guardian space station. He was looking out at Earth through a large window. The blue and green planet looked peaceful and normal. City lights sparkled on the night side. Everything seemed fine, but Kyle knew something was very wrong. His communication panel had been quiet for 30 minutes now. No messages from his wife Lisa on the surface, no reports from military bases, no civilian radio chatter, no internet. Traffic. Nothing at all. The last message he received was from Lisa. It was short and scared him. "Something's happening, I love you." Then the line went dead. Kyle tried to call her back. The system said her phone was not available. He tried calling Earth's military command. No answer. He tried the emergency channels that were supposed to work even during disasters. Still nothing. Other crew members on the Terra Guardian were having the same problem. Nobody could reach anyone on Earth. It was like the whole planet had just disappeared from the communication networks. "Sir," said Lieutenant Dan Cooper, floating over to Kyle, "all satellite networks are showing active, but they're not transmitting anything to us. It's like someone turned off all the speakers but left the power on." Kyle nodded grimly. "Keep trying, and monitor all frequencies. If even one signal gets through, I want to know about it." At the Galactic Council headquarters, aliens were running everywhere. The main assembly hall filled quickly as representatives from 47 different species hurried to their seats. Most of them had never seen an emergency session called this fast. High Admiral Koroth of the Vorthak Empire stood at the center podium. His reptilian features were tense. "Fellow council members," he began, his voice echoing through translation devices. "We face a situation we have never encountered before. The human homeworld Earth has ceased all communications for 37 minutes and counting." Worried voices filled the hall. The Chithari swarm representative, Queen Zixta, spoke first. "Our biosensors detect no major explosions or radiation signatures from the Sol system. If it was a nuclear war, we would see the signs." "Perhaps their artificial intelligence finally turned against them," suggested the Nebulan collective voice. "Humans have been playing with dangerous technology for decades. We warned them many times." Dr. Jake Peterson sat in the human observer section, feeling completely helpless. He was the only human at the council headquarters, sent there 3 years ago as a liaison officer. Now everyone was looking at him for answers he did not have. "Dr. Peterson," Admiral Koroth called out, "can you explain what might have happened to your world?" Jake stood up slowly. "I honestly don't know, Admiral. This has never happened before in human history. We're a talkative species. We never stop communicating. Something very serious must have occurred." The hall erupted in worried chatter. Some aliens spoke of natural disasters. Others worried about unknown enemies attacking Earth. A few suggested that humans had simply decided to cut themselves off from the galaxy. On Luna Station, the human moon base, Chief Engineer Amy Roberts was trying not to panic. She had 29 other humans with her on the moon. They were supposed to be a support station for Earth. But now Earth was not talking to them. Amy looked through the main observation window at Earth. The planet looked normal. She could see weather patterns moving across the continents. The city. Lights were still on. Ships were moving in the oceans. But when she tried to contact any of those cities or ships, she got nothing back. "Amy," called out Dr. Ben Morris from the communication center. "I've been scanning every frequency we know. Radio, microwave, laser, quantum entanglement, everything. It's not just that they're not answering us. They're not transmitting anything at all." Amy felt a chill run down her spine. "That's impossible. Earth has millions of transmitters. Military, civilian, commercial, scientific. They can't all stop working at the same time." "Unless someone made them stop," Ben said quietly. The thought scared both of them. Who could force the entire planet? Earth to go silent? And why would they do it? Back on Nexus Prime, the emergency continued. More alien ships were arriving every hour. Some came to help. Others came because they were curious. A few came because they saw opportunity in humanity's apparent disaster. The Krillian Empire, known for their aggressive expansion, had already dispatched a battle fleet toward human colony worlds. They claimed it was for protection and humanitarian aid. But everyone knew the Krillians were not humanitarian. Zethkar continued monitoring his instruments. 1 hour had passed since Earth went quiet, then 2 hours. The silence was complete and absolute. Other monitoring stations throughout the galaxy confirmed the same thing. Earth was still there, the planet was still alive, but it had stopped talking to the universe. The Galactic Council declared crisis. Alert status red. This was only the 3rd time in galactic history that such an alert had been issued. The last time was when the Andromedans had threatened to invade the galaxy 500 years ago. Emergency protocols activated on dozens of worlds. Refugee camps prepared for possible human survivors. Medical ships loaded with supplies and doctors. Military fleets positioned themselves near human space. But nobody knew what they were preparing for. As the 3rd hour of silence began, one question filled every mind in the galaxy. What had happened to humanity? The answer would change everything. They thought they knew about the human species.